Iran will not have a nuclear weapon. And we agreed to a lot of things, but they didn't agree to that. And I think they will agree to it. I'm almost sure of it. In fact, I am sure of it. If they don't agree, there's no deal.
Has your timetable changed in any way in terms of ending this conflict?
No, it's going on. Just right now, there's no fighting. Right now, we have a blockade. They're doing no business.
The U.S. blockade of the Strait of Hormuz officially taking effect. President Trump reiterating he will not come to any agreement where Tehran obtains a nuclear weapon. He told me the same over the weekend, and talks of future negotiations between the U.S. and Iran could be in the works right now. Pakistan reportedly offering to host a new round of talks in Islamabad by the end of the week. As soon as Thursday. President Trump also told me on Sunday that peace negotiations fell apart over the weekend because Tehran severely misjudged what leverage they thought they had. The Wall Street Journal this morning is reporting that the U.S. asked Iran to suspend nuclear enrichment for 20 years without a moratorium that would come with sanctions relief. And then there's Lebanon, meeting for talks with the U.S. and Israel today in Washington. Officials in Lebanon say they want the negotiations to be separate from any talks between the U.S. and Iran. In other words, they're not part of the ceasefire. Joining me now is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson. Senator, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. And I want to get your thoughts on all of this. How would you assess the war today?
Good morning, Maria. Well, on a Sunday news program, the host asked me, started the conversation saying, will you support the war in Iran? And I refuted that. I said, no, I do not support the war that the Ayatollahs declared on the West 47 years ago. I don't support that war. What I support is ending it once and for all. And so that's what we're trying to do right now. I know it had to be a difficult decision for President Trump because he had to know, I think we all knew this was not going to be easy. They have multiple layers of command and control within the IRGC and the police force. It's a brutal regime. They had thousands of missiles, thousands of drones. They're wreaking all kinds of destruction in the Middle East. But we had to act before we no longer could act, before they became a nuclear power, before they had so many missiles and so many drones that it would have devastated the region. So I support President Trump's action there. You know, I appreciate the fact that he has said Iran will never have a nuclear weapon. I'm a little concerned about the Wall Street Journal report that says we've offered to just have them suspend nuclear enrichment for 20 years. That's not the same as never have a nuclear weapon. Now, you can never say never. You can't control things in the future. I don't want to concede that point. Well, we're just going to let you suspend it for 20 years. I think we need to approach this as no. We need to see that we dismantle that nuclear enrichment program. They turn over that material to the West, not to Russia. We need to make sure that they cannot, certainly in our lifetimes, reconstitute a nuclear program.
Yeah, I understand. But I want to talk about your role in all of this in terms of a reconciliation package and paying for all of this, because we know that part of the conversation has been to put defense supplemental money in a reconciliation package, as well as funding Customs and Border Patrol and ICE. Can you walk us through what you're expecting this reconciliation package to look like?
Sure. Let's first of all lay out the reality that we face. Democrats want to defund ICE and CBP. So the result of that is we couldn't pass a funding bill for all of DHS, for the other 20 components of DHS. So Republicans in the Senate acknowledge that fact. We didn't defund CBP and ICE. Fortunately, we provided enough flexibility in last year's reconciliation to fund CBP and ICE at least through this fiscal year. But we accepted that reality. Democrats want to defund them, so we passed a bill that funds the rest of ICE so we can pay folks in the other 20 agencies so that we're not using up that flexibility and reduce the time that we can fund CBP and ICE before we pass another reconciliation bill. Now, we also have to keep the next reconciliation bill very targeted so we get this done. Now, my preference would be to fund all of DHS through fiscal year 2029. That's probably not going to be possible. That's even probably too heavy a lift. So if we can only fund simply ICE, simply CBP for a number of years, hopefully through fiscal 2029, that's probably what we ought to focus on. Get it done within a couple of weeks. Then we could turn our attention to all the other priorities that this administration has laid out for us.
So you're saying get the Customs and Border Patrol and ICE funded in like a skinny reconciliation, and then are you expecting to another reconciliation later on in the year, which would include other priorities like the defense money and like, by the way, the Save America Act?
Yeah, that would be much more complex. That could hit all kinds of snags. At this point, we can't afford snags. We need to pass the Senate bill. House, pass that so we can move on to reconciliation, fund DHS or CBP and ICE for the next few years. Then we can turn our attention to the other priorities of the president, whether it's defense funding. Like, obviously, I want the Save America Act. I'm not sure we can do that through reconciliation. There are certain components. We can certainly fund and encourage states to clean up their voter rolls, provide IDs, that type of thing. But we're limited in what we can do through reconciliation, which, as we've discussed, Maria, one of the reasons I've supported, we ought to end the filibuster. It is ridiculous. It's pretty well been neutered in all these other areas. But the only thing that's left is some of these policy areas like Save America Act. It's time to end it. The Senate is broken enough. I don't think ending the filibuster is going to break it any further.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this over and over again. And, somebody mentioned something to me yesterday, which I thought was really interesting. Can you just end the filibuster in certain categories? In other words, like, if you're basically looking at what the Democrats have done here, we're in the middle of a war, and we don't even have the Department of Homeland Security fully funded. So can you say, well, when you're looking at the Department of Homeland Security, we're doing this on our own. We're putting the filibuster aside, and we're going to fund this and perhaps keep it in place for other things? Or are you saying you need to just eliminate the filibuster and the party in control should just be able to pass the legislation that it needs to with a 50-person vote, 51?
Yeah, we've already done that. Harry Reid did it to pack the D.C. court. So we eliminated the filibuster with a cloture vote on those judges. Then we had to do it for Supreme Court justices because they were blocking Neil Gorsuch. So again, now we have this reconciliation process. That doesn't have a cloture vote. You have to go through vote-a-rama, but that passes with just a majority vote. So by and large, the filibuster has pretty well been eliminated for many, many areas, and we're all pushing the envelope on reconciliation. I'm just saying, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get rid of it. But if we have to take another half measure and say, okay, if it's about national security, and if it's funding for national security, that doesn't require a 50-vote threshold. Listen, I'm open to it. This place is broken. I've described this to you. We passed 6 out of 180 appropriation bills since I've been in the Senate on time prior to the fiscal year there's funding. That's a 96.7% failure rate. How much more broken can the United States Senate get? Now we've shut down government for 42 days. DHS has been shut down for closing on 60 days. When we were at risk of the sleeper cells of Iranians that the Democrats probably led into this country through their open border policy. I don't know. How much more broken can this place be? Well,
look, the House and Senate are meeting today for the first time since late March. You guys are going back now. Senate Republicans are trying to fast-track something on immigration. House is going to play out. Right before everybody left for Easter holiday, there was a big fight because the House would not accept your bill that was passed. And by the way, it was in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., and you didn't have enough people on the floor.
Yeah, but again, we discussed this. We gave Leader Thune the ability to let's fund the other 20 agencies. We've already funded CBP and ICE, CBP and ICE through the end of the fiscal year through the flexibility of reconciliation. We didn't defund those. They were already funded. I mean, they're just mischaracterizing that in the House. I understand how the language is written in the bill, but CBP and ICE are funded through the end of the year. But again, that funding is going to run out quicker if President Trump has to use the flexibility to pay the other components. So pass the funding for the other components. Let's concentrate on a targeted reconciliation bill. Let's get this debate behind us so then we can focus on all the other priorities, and there are a lot of them that we need to focus on.
All right, let me ask you about those priorities, because tomorrow is tax day. We've got new IRS data showing that the average refund is up better than 11% compared to a year ago. People are getting refunds of $3,500, $3,800, and I want to get your take on that. Are there tax code changes that you didn't get in the big, beautiful bill that you'd like to see in reconciliation as well?
Again, I'd like to simplify and rationalize our tax code, but that's a big lift, a big ask. What we are seeing here with Democrats wanting to defund ICE and CBP, what we're witnessing here is the fact that the Republican Party has now become the party of the working men and women of America. I mean, that's just a fact. I mean, the working family tax cut, no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security. I mean, these things are focused on the working men and women of the country. Right. Where Democrats are out there advocating for illegal immigrants. Go figure. They don't want voter ID. They say they do, but then they vote against it. So if the American people are paying attention, they'll see which party's on their side, Republicans, versus the party that's really, I guess, for Iran, for Hamas. I mean, a lot of their supporters are protesting in favor of Hamas after the butchery of October 7th. I mean, you cannot make this stuff up. American people have to open up their eyes to see which parties are actually working for them and their benefit versus for others.
Understood. Senator, good to see you this morning. Of course, we'll be watching your work as always. Thanks so much for being here.
Have a good day.
Senator Ron Johnson. Quick break, and then the race for New York governor is tightening as whoever wins that has to deal with New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani and a socialist agenda. New York gubernatorial candidate and Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman is here with his plan for the Empire State. You're watching Mornings with Maria live on Fox Business. Stay with us.